I'm gonna throw my grass out the window and crumple up my papers too. And give away my speed, 'cause girlie, all I'll ever need is just a little bit of love from you, and we'll be making it natural.
Three, two, one, zero.
You cannot subvert an enemy which doesn't want to be subverted. Subversion is the term, if you look in a dictionary or criminal code to that matter, usually is explained as a part of activity to destroy things like religion, government system, political, economical system of a country. Starting from Hollywood movie makers to professors of political science and quote-unquote experts on Soviet affairs, Kremlinologists as they call themselves. No James Bond nonsense. The rest, 85%, is always subversion, manipulation of terms. We think that subverter is a person who is going to blow up our beautiful bridges. But according to the law and law enforcement systems of the Western civilization, it's not a crime. Subversion can be only successful when the agent of subversion has a responsive target. Subverter is a student who comes for exchange, a diplomat, an actor, an artist, a journalist like myself. It's most of this activity is overt, legitimate, and easily observable if you give yourself time and trouble to observe it. Which means always a destructive, aggressive activity aimed to destroy the country, nation, or geographical area of your enemy. It's a two-way traffic. United States is a receptive target of subversion.
From high top of battle, moves of Castle Curmudgeon, where we are in an election year now, so you all better get used to me closing every utterance with, "I'm Captain Curmudgeon and I approve this message." Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. Welcome to the Blast Radius. I am your dutiful news roundup rent boy, and here is your decline of Western civilization news roundup for this, the very first week of 2024. And shit, you know what that means? That means this is the year I turn 50. Will there be a midlife crisis? Will I buy a Harley Davidson I only ride 4 or 5 times and trade in Lady Curmudgeon for a 22-year-old self-employed exotic dancer named Destiny? For the answer to those questions and more like it, like, subscribe, and share the videos. Oh, and buy a whole shitload of super chats and channel memberships because every little bit helps. And yes, that is what she said. Dateline Mar-a-Lago, Monday, 1 January. Former President Donald Trump kicked off his 2024 with a peculiar misstep this week when he hosted a New Year's Eve party whose featured performer was, wait for it, it's worth it, Vanilla Ice? Freaking Rob Van Winkle? And it wasn't a joke? Yeah, Mr. President, Donald, may I call you Donald? I need you to bring it in because you and I need to have a talk about this. You see, Vanilla Ice isn't a thing that people like non-ironically. The appeal of Vanilla Ice is the same as the appeal of the pet rock, which is to say it's a thing you look at and you say, God damn, I can't believe someone made that much money on a scam as flimsy as that one. And that's all it is. Some fucking guy went down to the beach, gathered up a whole shitload of rocks, put each one in a little cardboard box, and made untold millions of dollars for himself. And Rob Van Winkle of Dallas, Texas, he is the music industry's version of the pet rock. He took his own weird-looking face, his own mediocre-ass rapping skills, and a stolen bass line from a Queen featuring David Bowie song, put it in a different kind of box, and made, quite improbably, even more millions of dollars off that than the pet rock guy did from his lame-ass idea. Anyway, Donald, and thanks for letting me call you Donald, I'm glad we were able to have this talk. Vanilla Ice is just a thing that people laugh at. It's really important to me that we are clear on this, sir. But that's all right. We can move on. Dateline Politico, Tuesday, 2 January. Podcaster, radio host, and guy Joe Biden accused of not being black Charlemagne the God announced this week that he will not be supporting the aforementioned president and semi-animated cadaver Joe Biden in the forthcoming 2024 election, and gosh, I can't imagine why. The last living segregationist senator looks you right in the face over a Zoom call and says either vote for me or you ain't black, and you went and voted for him anyway? Are you fucking kidding me, dude? And while we're at it, Charlemagne the God, may I call you the God? Each time I see a news story about you, I wonder the same two things. One, does he know he spelled Charlemagne wrong? And two, does he know he has named himself after a very, very white Frankish king from the 8th century? I'm just saying, given the professional vineyard in which this young man toils, it is strange that he would choose a nom de plume of such scandally northwest European origin. Unless he doesn't know any better and just started calling himself that because he heard it somewhere and thought it sounded cool. And hey, I guess when you're a guy who will vote for Joe Biden even after he says you ain't black, and waits all the way until the year of the next election when that guy is the worst president in history to withdraw your support, maybe that fact alone answers all of our questions for us. Dateline New York City, Wednesday, 3 January. In a piece of news that will delight, I don't know, maybe like Taylor Lorenz and one or two other people, the New York City hospitals have bravely and boldly reinstituted a full face diaper mandate for all humans who wish to respirate on hospital grounds, which, according to surveys, is just about everyone. The move, which applies also to all health clinics and nursing homes operating under the purview of NYC Health Incorporated, comes on the heels of a similar move by Los Angeles County Hospitals. Announced on 31 December of last year, reached for comment, Health and Human Services Secretary Javier, with an X, Becerra said, quote, look, we understand we're going to need a much bigger China virus this time and a much more expensive mail ballot operation if Joe Biden is going to get reelected in November, allegedly. And we may not have the virus yet, but if we can promote and condition the proper behaviors and bide our time until that sweet, sweet virus arrives like so much manna from the heavens, it will be that much easier for us to drag Joe Biden's half-dead carcass across the finish line this year. Oh, also, I just want the people to be healthy. LOL. End quote. Dateline Anaheim, Thursday, 4 January. The wildly unprofitable child grooming syndicate, formerly known as the Walt Disney Company, stumbled into the new year like a drunk in a rakes factory in 2024 with the announcement that the main Star Wars saga is going to be continued under the direction of a certified man-hating feminist documentary filmmaker named Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, thus sending out the message to jittery shareholders that, hey, don't worry, everything will be fine. Although, you know, we really do kind of want to burn down the entire brand and all of its sub-brands and sacrifice all of their still beating hearts on the altar of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So please keep giving us lots of money to do that with, and we will keep making $300 million movies that pull in $200 million at the box office, and it'll all work out in the end. We will just have Tinkerbell, who is a beautiful trans man of color now, sprinkle some magic bullshit accounting dust on the balance sheet, and it'll fix everything right up. So don't you go worrying your pretty little heads over it. And please be sure not to raise any complaints in the shareholder meeting, because it would be a real shame if we had to call you racist. Dateline Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, Friday, 5 January. Like a washed-up wrestler recycling a long-retired gimmick in a desperate last-ditch attempt to regain some tiny shred of cultural relevance, President and semi-animated cadaver Joe Biden rolled out his much-loved Dark Brandon persona for his official re-election campaign kickoff speech this week, in which, come on, do you really need me to tell you? It went about like all Joe Biden speeches go. He fought the teleprompter and he lost. He accused half the people in the country of hating democracy. He said Trump is a very, very bad man, and he yelled the words Hitler and Nazis at least half a dozen times each. Strangely absent from the president's speech was any listing of his many varied accomplishments in his first 3 years in office. But we are sure that was just an innocent oversight, and he and his campaign didn't really intend for his opening election year speech to be just a half-hour-long unvarnished attack upon people who didn't vote for Joe Biden last time and have no intention of doing so in the future. It's a bold political move, Cotton, when you're such an historically unpopular president coming out and insulting and antagonizing people like that. Let's see if it works out for him. And will somebody get me an ETA on that new China virus? God damn it. That, ladies and gentlemen, is your Decline of Western Civilization News Roundup for the work week ending Friday, 5 January 2024. And with that, I pass the baton over to my illustrious colleague, the co-host with the co-most, the man who is to large furry hominids what Jackie Robinson is to baseball, your friend and mine, the one and only Mr. Caucasian Sasquatch.
Tactical nuke incoming!
Good evening and welcome to the Blast Radius, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we're going to take a little bit of a page from various different disciplines. I've spent a little bit of time putting a little something together backstage over here a little while. We have some new robot discussions, and we're going to talk about Star Trek and how Star Trek is better at Star Wars than Star Wars is. And we're basically going to hate on Disney for a little while. So let's get this tater started. Oh, it did that thing again. I don't like it. There we go. In the right spots. How's your
You gotta
week?
ask for consent before you do that thing, don't you know?
Yes, sir. We don't do that. I'm in Georgia. You're not my sister.
Not even my first cousin.
There's something wrong with me. How you doing, bud? How's your week going?
I've had just a positively delightful first week of 2024. How has yours been?
I got a big dog, and he poops a lot, and he doesn't always tell me about it. And so sometimes in the middle of the night, things get a little sporting coming down the hallway. Wife's gone to take care of her mom type, her parental unit, which means she gets to spend another week at the beach. Tell you the truth, I might go see her in a little while, but for the moment, there ain't nothing, nobody here but us.
Isn't it so much fun when your wife's gone out of town and you get to mind all the animals? It really gives me no shortage of joy. I know that much.
I like my dog, man. He's kind of cool sometimes.
Well, I like my dog too, and I'm willing to tolerate the cats, but it is so very, very much fun when Lady Curmudgeon is out of town and I get to take care of all of them.
All right, so
Can't get enough of it.
We have a couple of choices as to what direction we want to go. We can do the Harmony Unleashed episode now, and this is merely a proof of concept, and we'll see how it goes. Or we can jump to the robots and AI, or discuss Star Trek. Which way is it going to go?
You mean Star Wars?
Yeah, it's all the same at this point, ain't it? If you haven't seen Prodigy, go check out Prodigy. It was boo-hooed by all the culture war idiots out there. I don't think they ever bothered to actually watch it and pay attention to the story. When I come across it, I didn't realize it was Star Trek. I had no clue until Janeway showed up, and I was like, "Whoa, hold up! What am I? I thought I was watching Star Wars the whole time.
Well,
it was all grungy and gritty and visceral."
I think you've done some admirable work on the Harmony Unleashed episode, so why don't we play that?
Okay, we'll run with that to start with. All right, I'm gonna okay, I've had some issues with StreamYards running this. Okay, it seems to get a little glitchy at the beginning, and I don't know why. But I'm gonna click the button, and it's gonna play all the way through, and I'm not gonna stop it. Even though it drives me crazy when it glitches. But here we go. I present to you episode 1 of Harmony Unleashed. Power of unity in music. But remember, it's not just about the applause. It's about the heartbeat of the people you touch. That's so bad. Oh my Lord.
3,
So do you want me to run through the backstory behind Harmony Unleashed? So I'm at work on Friday, and there's some YouTube video playing in my ear, and as we often do, I'm preoccupied with something else, and the video I'm listening to ends, and some other video starts playing, and I don't even remember whose video it was, but it featured an interview with some douchebag Hollywood writer union rep who was going through all of his worst fears about artificial intelligence and what it portends for his industry and its future. And I'm listening, and it occurs to me that he's kind of talking out both sides of his ass here, because on the one hand, he's saying this is terrible, this is the end, we're all going to be replaced by the robots, the sky is falling, and then he'll turn around and say, but our writers are such great, awesome, talented people that no artificial intelligence could ever replace what they do. So I got a little bit curious, and I decided to see if I could settle the question for myself. So I went on to ChatGPT, and I wrote in a very simple one-sentence prompt. I wrote, write me the pilot episode for a Disney Plus series about a strong, powerful woman of color who don't need no man for nothing. And it spits me out an entire pilot episode, and it's even formatted just like a TV script should be, and it was all pretty impressive. And I think this sounds exactly like some woke dog shit series that you actually would see on Disney Plus. So my curiosity is piqued at this point, and so it gets to the end. It says to be continued, and I think, well, yes, I want to see what happens next. So I type in write episode 2, and it vomits out episode 2, and I keep doing it, and I get all the way through an entire first season, 10 episodes of a show called Harmony Unleashed, about a young woman named Jasmine, who's a strong, powerful woman musician of color who don't need no man for nothing. She does have one guy in her band, though, who I assume is black. But episode 1, title, Unbreakable Rhythms. Interior, cozy apartment, day.
Meet Jasmine, a vibrant and independent young woman of color with passion for music. She's surrounded by instruments and records, creating a lively atmosphere in her cozy apartment.
Hey, I'm Jasmine. Welcome to my world, where the beats are as fierce as the spirit. I don't need no man for nothing, because I've got my music, my dreams, and a rhythm that can't be broken.
Jasmine puts on her headphones and starts playing her favorite song, losing herself in the music.
Cut to exterior city streets, day.
Jasmine struts confidently down the bustling streets of the city, her headphones still on. People stop and stare, captivated by her energy.
That's Jasmine, the music sensation. She's got a rhythm that can change the world.
Jasmine walks past a local record store, sees a sign for a citywide music competition.
This is my chance to show the world what I'm made of. Cut to interior record store, later.
Jasmine approaches the counter where an eccentric owner named Leo is arranging vinyl records. Looking to make your mark in the music scene, eh?
You got it. I'm entering the competition, and I'm going to win.
Well, you'll need more than confidence, kid. You'll need a band.
I don't need a band. I can do this on my own.
Spoken like a true independent spirit, but trust me, sometimes even the strongest need a little harmony.
Cut to interior Jasmine's apartment, night.
Jasmine contemplates Leo's words as she gazes at her instruments. She starts playing a melody on her guitar, experimenting with different sounds.
Maybe Leo has a point. A little harmony wouldn't hurt. Cut to exterior city park, day.
Jasmine starts auditioning potential bandmates for various walks of life, creating a diverse and unique ensemble.
Let's create a rhythm that breaks boundaries.
The screen freezes and the words "Unbreakable Rhythms" appear, accompanied by an upbeat and empowering theme song.
To be continued. The pilot episode sets the stage for Jasmine's journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and the creation of a band that celebrates diversity and unity through the power of music.
Ta-da!
Diversity and unity through the power of music. It doesn't get any better than that, does it?
Right. I miscounted the number of unities. There's only like 93. I don't
Although, and look, if you have an overactive imagination, you may be saying that unity and diversity would seem to be concepts that are in opposition to one another, but don't worry about that. They are both awesome, and Harmony Unleashed does them both.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I had a bit of a choice on how to go about farming those images, and I did a handful. The ones y'all saw tonight that I got another episode. If y'all decide to watch it in my chat over here, we're at 53% right now. We might not watch it tonight. So I've got the rest of the ones that I did and got the clean, easy to edit version. The rest of them, the other 100 or so, are in the hard to edit that I've got to go like cut it out of a really big file. And I've tried to do it twice and it's crashed on me twice. And then I just it up once. But I'm gonna try to get together with Hippie Tuesday. He's got another AI that does short animated segments, and I want to see if we can try to.
He's got an AI. It just makes it sound like he's got a bunch of robots in his closet.
Hey, we're gonna look at some robots in the closet here.
Oh, I got an AI that can do that. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Right, just go pull it out like a Mr. Coffee right next to the Mr. Radar.
Yep, like fucking Joe DiMaggio pulling out a Mr. Coffee.
There you go. Magnificent. Can you imagine? What's up, Slow Burner? Good to see you, bud. You want to say hi to everybody in chat? You do it this time. I do it every time.
Hello to everybody who's in chat. Who do we have in chat? We've got. I'm sorry. What are you saying?
Did excellent. Good job.
I think it's too late to give out a gold, silver, and bronze, isn't it? All right, who do we have? We've got Queen Bird. Obviously, Queen Bird is here because she's a legend on both of these channels. Slow Burner's here. Hi, Slow Burner. Smoking Otter is here. John Denicola is here. Hello, John. Hello, Smoking. KK Bootsy's here. Brandon Mitchell's here. That seems to be just about everybody who's currently present and posting.
In your
but
chat?
if you want your name, yeah, that's the one I'm pulling off the chat. That's supposedly both of our chats.
It's supposed to be both of them, but okay.
Yeah. Do you have more? Well, read out the people you've got if you've got more people that I don't have.
I got Tiffany's Epiphany, AJOT, JC News Now, John Denicola, Gregory Ittalk, the cameraman's 1970. We got Queen Bird, Eli Family, 1983. He shared us out on Twitter. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks very much indeed.
You're in here. We got M's Mad World. She showed up as Barbie Sasquatch for those in the know. And the Smoking Auditor is in the house. And I believe AJOT is taking the Overwatch God status in my chat, and Smoking Auditor is putting in grunt work. That's what it looks like. And we got Bootsy. Hey, Bootsy. Slow Burner's in the house. Good to see you, bud. Matthew the King. Do me. I'll do you, baby. I got some strong swimmers just for you.
Oh, get a fucking room.
We're going to need two. It makes my head hurt sometimes. All right, so now we're at the part where we discuss the culture war in general. And we're going to discuss the absolute degradation of Disney on the Star Wars franchise and how, I mean, man, even when they had a solid gold hit, they just could not restrain themselves from screwing it up. Mandalorian was one of the best series they put out, even though it was a copy of Lone Wolf and Cub, and they probably should have been sued. Still excellent. Does it change the fact that
the first two seasons of that show are outstanding. There's very little wrong with them. And then season 3 happened.
Well, you know, we can't let a person be unidentified. That's really strange to me. Like the whole premise of the show in the first season is he can't expose his face. And so they immediately break it. Right.
Yeah, and that for as long as they held on to it, it made the show really interesting because it's so counterintuitive to make a show where the lead actor never shows his face. But it was an interesting premise for the show, and it made the show better while they held on to it. But obviously it was doomed to be abandoned almost as soon as they started, because of course it was.
Well, apparently Filoni was fairly dedicated to the concept. That whole not revealing your face thing is only a part of a very narrow creed of Mandalorians. These people are in indigenously they're like a virus in the galaxy. They travel from area to area. They don't really cause any damage where they live, but if you happen to damage an area they're near, they will straight show up with a full army and just deuce you out. And here's the thing about them.
They will smoke a motherfucker like it ain't no thing.
Like it ain't no thing. One of them sumbitches is a lot. And if you come across a coven of them, a covert, as it were, that's a problem. That's a major, major problem. Because you're not born a Mandalorian under most circumstances. This is something a lot of people that the show got wrong in the long run. You can be born a Mandalorian. But if you do not take up the way, and you do not take up the mantle, and you do not take up the armor and the weapons and the military culture and the migratory lifestyle, then you are not a Mandalorian. And while you may call yourself one, if you don't walk the talk the talk, if you don't walk the walk, you don't get to talk the talk. Mandalorians are typically adopted. Somebody comes across a particularly tough orphan in the middle of a war zone that just seems to be able to survive anything, and they snatch him up by the scruff of their hair and say, "Hey, kid, do you want to live?" He says, "Yeah." And he throws him down and says, "Run," and then covers his escape out, and that's how they become Mandalorians. So
you know what I would go ahead.
With Bo-Katan being a grand high princess of the Mandalorian race, it just kind of it's in Legends. It is there. But it's not.
And I like Katie Sackhoff. She is perfectly appealing in the role, but I didn't sign up for the Bo-Katan show. I was watching The Mandalorian for 2 seasons, and The Mandalorian was a really cool show for 2 seasons. And the story of the show built up to a really outstanding apogee right at the end of the 2nd season when we got the appearance of de-aged Return of the Jedi era Luke Skywalker coming to rescue little what's his name, Grogu, Baby Yoda, whatever you want to call him. But that's where that story ends. Grogu, Baby Yoda goes off to train with Luke Skywalker and be a Jedi. And why can't we just have the Mandalorian story continue from there and have it go back to being what the story was in episode 1 or season 1, because a lot of people thought that was a pretty awesome show in season 1.
I agreed. I say we rob Kurosawa. I say we steal some old spaghetti westerns. I say we hijack a handful of mid-70s horror scripts and we go right back to work with the crew that we had in the 1st season. I think we could make it work.
And John Denicola raises a good point, because they really did screw the pooch irreversibly when they fired Gina Carano for no damn good reason whatsoever.
All right, as far as
she was a great character. She was much loved by the fan base, but Kathy didn't like her, so she's got to go.
Right. About not showing their face, that's more myth than reality. There are some coverts that live, quote unquote, by creed, and by the creed you never expose who you are, because that would be a sign of weakness. But a born Mandalorian who lives his entire life in armor is expected to not remove their armor in public. To do so would be a sign of weakness. However, taking off your helmet to talk to somebody is not against their creed, because they are also merchants. And there's some races out there just won't trade with you if they don't get to see the color of your eyes or the cut of your jib.
Yeah, it's a lot like, wearing masks out in public every day. People can't even see your face, don't know what the fuck you're talking about. It can get to be kind of a drag after a year or two. I'm just saying.
Right. And the Book of Boba Fett, I'll be honest with you, man, I didn't like it from the start. At first, I was getting real hard Memberberry vibes, and I was like, yeah, because they did hijack an awful lot of weird little Legends characters, Easter eggs to put in the show. And I guarantee you, Timothy Zahn hasn't seen a dime from none of it.
Queenbird's giving me a bad temptation. I want to do a Harmony Unleashed Mandalorian mashup show.
I think on that. I'm not even sure how I'd get an AI to paint that picture. How do you describe that picture?
I don't know. You just gotta fill that AI up with a box of wine and treat her right, and she'll write just about anything you want her to.
Well, yeah, but
you got to sweet talk her just perfect.
Dude, it's the pictures that's a bit of a bear. Sometimes it gets an idea in its head. Like you notice, it has a particular fascination for Jasmine.
Well, who doesn't have a fascination for Jasmine?
That's why I went with it like I did. It made sense to me. I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, she's never had a spot of adversity since the first time she picked up a guitar and entered a singing contest.
That's true. She immediately won.
She immediately won, and then she was the #1 pop star in the country within about 2 minutes.
Absolutely. I mean, what does it take? I mean, obviously, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I have is a big earful of Harmony Unleashed. Get started.
Resonance of Dreams will get anybody's ass out of bed.
Right? Mandy's Dreams.
Mandy's Dreams.
That is kind of funny. I hadn't thought about that. This is a strong black independent woman musician who don't need no man for nothing, created by 2 white guys.
Mandy and Jasmine sitting in a tree.
I'm gonna hurt myself tonight. I can tell it. I'm just gonna giggle myself right into the stitch box.
Oh, I know. I'm gonna try and make that idea evacuate my brain before I act on it, because otherwise I might.
All right, so Disney sucks. It ruins everything it touches. And even when it gets a chance to correct course and change CEOs and change people that are running the Star Wars universe, it chooses exactly the wrong person in exactly the wrong time, and then cans the guy that they thought was going to fix everything.
Even when it's, go ahead.
I kind of feel like this is all a smokescreen just to kind of blame, so everybody can do the Spider-Man meme when it's said and done. They can all blame each other and be like it's their fault.
It's like I said in the video the other day. It's difficult not to conclude at this point that Kathy Kennedy isn't either trying to get her own ass fired or just intentionally burning down Lucasfilm just to watch the last flickering ember go out, because I don't think there's any other explanation for.
I think
after everything that has happened at this point, to open the year by announcing that you're going to start back up with the main saga and hand the directorial duties to a Pakistani Canadian radical activist feminist documentary filmmaker, that is an interesting move indeed.
Right, it's bold move, Cotton. Let's see.
It's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for him.
I don't see it.
No, it will not.
I see a Bud Light type of situation taking place where when they started changing the helm, there was an assumption that there would be a change of direction. And so I think there was a collective cultural sigh of relief. And then they released this blurb. It's not much more than that. It's, oh, by the way, check this chick out. We're going to have her make the Force femalier, even more female.
Because obviously the Star Wars sequel trilogy was not female enough. That was the biggest problem, was that it was not female enough. It was not enough that we had a female lead who's a perfect, immaculate, do no wrong Mary Sue, whose character is just about as interesting as that description portends, or that we have a purple-haired goddamn gender studies admiral in the second movie whose only function is to tell the men how awful and toxic they are. or that the female lead closes out the trilogy by appropriating the last name of the star of the first trilogy, which was also a pretty bold move indeed, Cotton. But none of that was female enough. We need more estrogen in this franchise.
You know where I lost faith? I can tell you the exact moment I lost faith in all of Disney. I have held out a small flicker of my young childhood passion for the animated arts that I have held deep in my soul. I cannot draw, and it has always intrigued me, people who can. And
yeah, me either.
the idea that people can put together Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, that they can put together Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast. These are all absolutely stunning displays of artistry and animation, storytelling, and adaptation, and vocal work and editing, and all of the stuff you need to do to be great. But Disney, in its infinite wisdom, decided to take an IP worth $1 billion, like a literal money printing machine, money printer go brr, 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 right? With its own, not even joking or exaggerating, empire in Florida and California. And they took that IP, every single IP they could get their hands on, and they flipped them on their heads as if movie tropes were invertible. Now, when the Black Panther came out and it was denigrated as such a horrible film, I said it was a good one. And here's why.
Didn't it get nominated for Best Picture?
Black Panther as a comic was an inversion of comic tropes. He wasn't a hero. He was an anti-hero.
You're talking about comics and not movies.
What I'm saying is the comics was an inversion of most comic tropes, where he was an anti-hero and he wasn't Batman. Okay. So when you go into the movie realm and you do a movie about Black Panther, you cannot do your usual superhero movie. It is almost incumbent upon the director to take the spirit of the comic book and transcribe it into the movie genre, thereby flipping all the movie tropes on its head, which is exactly what that movie does. And quite well, I might add. It's a terrible movie, but it does its job well.
It is a terrible movie.
The dialogue is trash. The editing is absolutely smoke. There's absolutely nothing to the plot. But
and God, the CGI in that last fight is just embarrassing.
True. But when it comes to the actual flavor of the comic book, straight from the source material, it kind of works. In my mind, at least.
Yeah, I think you could have made a picture out of that premise and script that worked perfectly well, but better than the finished picture did, I would submit. I think the finished picture was concerned itself too much with pressing current day political buttons, let's say.
So understanding that I can absolutely detest a script and a plot and a writer and respect the method and respect the logic behind what was done. It's terrible because it's hard to make a good movie if everything's inverted. But beyond that, they just had trash writers and trash. It was just trash. It was overdone before it was done, and it was pushed too hype before it had a chance to earn its own place. But that's not when I lost faith in Disney. It was when Ahsoka stepped on the outside of a ship and batted turbo blaster bolts back at fighter aircraft in space with her rave sticks.
That Ahsoka show was not good, man. I actually did manage to get through that whole show. That was not good. That was not good at all.
I'm not even joking. At the end, I don't remember if it was the end of the second episode or end of the first episode, but there was this point, right? There was this point. I was sitting there and I paused the show. I looked at my wife and I said, if that woman gets on the outside of that freaking ship and goes to town on those starfighters with a fucking rave stick, I'm done. I'm fucking done. I'm finished. I will not finish this show. I can't do it. And here's why. Let me explain. I'm not just being arbitrary. I am giving credit to the hundreds of authors and thousands of proofreaders and writers that have worked on various Star Wars properties in the history of Star Wars, who all looked at the asshole in the room who suggested that Luke Skywalker step to the outside of his freaking X-Wing and win with a freaking rave stick. And they said, "What are you thinking? Go sit in the corner until you figure out what you've done with your life." And it was a good decision then, and it is a good decision now.
Here's my perspective on Ahsoka. Now, as some of the viewers will know, I don't read comic books. I don't watch cartoons. I don't mean that as an insult to any adult comic book readers and cartoon watchers, even though they always take it that way. But me personally, for myself, I don't watch cartoons. I don't read comic books. So I start watching the Ahsoka show. I have no idea who any of these characters are or what any of them are supposed to mean to me. And I get the sense as I watch the show that the prospect that some viewers don't watch cartoons and don't know who these characters are has never entered into the thinking of the people making the program.
These people,
and I thought that was a problem.
It's a problem. It's a problem because they're more concerned with bright lights and flashy things and showing whatever it is they want to show. Now, I got to admit, the Dark Trooper project, this is another one of those those grubby little fingers got into Legends material, and I'm not 100. I've read a lot of that stuff. I don't specifically remember robot dark troopers. The dark troopers I remember were like human brains inserted inside of mechanical beasts. They were like, I like Grievous, sort of. They were a little bit more twisted than the ones you get on the show. And so when I saw the Dark Trooper, when I saw the Dark Troopers, I thought, wow, that's really cool. Could you imagine if they were Beskar? You know what I'm saying? Like, this would be awesome.
Yeah, but you know, beyond what happens in the theatrical films and what happens in the Mandalorian, live action stuff. In other words, that's where my knowledge of the franchise begins and ends, because you know, it's just my personal thing. I'm not going to read comic books or watch cartoons. Live action stuff, I will watch. What have you got for me? And then just they throw characters at me that I've never seen before, and I don't think they did a good enough job of acquainting me with who the hell they were and why the hell I was supposed to care about.
They're not. They don't. Okay, let's transition into a slightly different genre, but the same problem. Rebel Moon. Have you seen Rebel Moon?
I have not, but I've seen a lot of people talking about it, and I'd be interested to hear what you've got to say on it.
Okay, so I've watched it twice. The first time I watched it, pretty much just kind of blasted straight through it. 2-hour movie, just kind of let it hit the old gray cells and soak in or bounce off or whatever. And I got the impression that absolutely everybody involved in this show is a fucking moron. Because, and I'm going to try to be real simple so that maybe they can understand it themselves. When you have a main protagonist whose history involves being a super legionnaire style imperial cadet of vasty potential of murder and mayhem, who is untouched in the ability to kill random people in her presence, and you take that person and you put her directly opposite someone who is suave, debonair, and an absolute shit that double crosses them, and you make them agree on absolutely every point, and then he double crosses them, it's just cheap and petty. You take an absolutely phenomenal character that could have been a primary mainstay of your series and could have very well worked out to your benefit, and you turn him into the biggest scoundrel in the freaking galaxy. The only way this makes sense is if he redeems in the following series, in the following movie. However, that's not going to happen because he's white.
Uh-oh.
That's
a deal breaker right there, baby.
He's evil. That's the end of the conversation. You never should have trusted him in the first place.
I don't know how you got this thing greenlit in the first place.
Because he's a bad guy.
Oh, okay.
He was on the hero's side all the way up until he captured them all, and that's the big reveal in the movie. But
you can have a white male villain, but you dare try and turn him into a protagonist, or we're going to have another conversation.
Now, if Snyder decides to do that, that is who did that one, right? Rebel Moon was Jack Snyder.
I believe so. Yes.
All right. So if Snyder decides to do something like that and does redeem this gentleman, this has the potential of being an IP starting movie. All of the gizmos are in the right place. All of the right words have been said. You have a strong female protagonist fighting off the entire galaxy and defending a freaking plot of dirt somewhere.
Yes, and we need original IPs. We need them desperately.
Right. We need new IPs. We need IPs to be woke garbage from the beginning so that when we see a good show, we can recognize it. Because this ain't it, Cap.
Doesn't sound like.
It ain't great. It has the potential to be a great IP, but that it would need more lore. It would need more backstory. It would need more identifiable characters. Like I can't see myself identifying with anybody in this movie. The closest thing there is to someone is one of the farmers at the beginning that gets beat to death by the leg.
Zack Snyder for me is a frustrating filmmaker. He's like a guy who can always get about like 70% of to where he needs to be, but he just can't quite get all the way there. I don't know. But I like the things, and I don't think I'm even able to pin down where it is that he goes wrong. It's just he does things that I kind of like, but he does more things that just annoy me. And how did you feel about Man of Steel when it first came out?
All right. So yet again, this is another one of those cases where it was very pretty. I enjoyed the viewing of it. The dialogue wasn't great. The framework wasn't awesome. There's a lot there I wouldn't have done, but as a creative decision, I could see any one of these working well in any collection of scenes, except he used all of them all the time, everywhere.
Yeah, I didn't like it when it came out, and I think in the intervening 10 or 11 years, it's grown on me a little bit, but I think I still don't like it all that much. I thought the visuals were just kind of weird in a way that I didn't. I thought the Clark Kent Smallville scenes, I kind of liked those. I thought those were pretty well done, but when we get into the second and the third act and the big superhero boss fight at the end that we have to have, I didn't like any of the way any of that was done. I didn't like the wanton destruction of entire cities and towns, and nothing is ever made of it. They're just things for our heroes to smash through. And obviously they dealt with that starting with the Batman v Superman movie, but I think they only started dealing with that because so many people complained about Man of Steel, like you smashed all these buildings with thousands of people in them and didn't even mention that you just killed thousands of people. So I think that was
all follow-up movies that came up after just merely referenced it like they do the Twin Towers. That destruction reigned over 17 freaking counties. It wiped out most of Manhattan. But it's just hey, you could go visit the site today and see the memorial to the 227 people that were killed in the impact. Like, what? No.
Yeah.
There should be vast segments of New York completely altered for the rest of freaking time.
Yeah, it's not just something they're gonna sweep up and pick up the debris and be all back to normal in a year or two or three. I mean, that's vast sections of your, not just a couple of buildings, but vast sections of your biggest in the city metropolis, so to speak, being laid waste by this superhero fight in the sky. And Only Batman got pissed off about it.
It's not something that you can maintain a linear IP with unless you're planning on taking that IP on a very specific trajectory. Because if you're going to do the Justice League and do it justice, you can take into account different timelines that exist in that franchise. This would allow you to bypass a whole bunch of complaints and whatnot. The problem is there's about 3,000 classic Superman issues that can't be touched because the abomination's already happened.
Is it?
Yeah. Superman, I'm not getting my security back now. Accurate.
But see, Snyder also, even though he delivered kind of a fair to middling Superman movie, he was done a disservice by the studio because that picture was never supposed to be the start of a cinematic universe, and they tried to retroactively sort of engineer it into one. Like the picture he thought he was going to make next was going to be a Superman 2, a sequel to Man of Steel. And, you know, by the time Man of Steel comes out in 2013, Avengers has just completely blown up the world in 2012. And then the executives at Warner Brothers say, God damn it, give us a cinematic universe. What's the last thing we made? Man of Steel? Well, fucking build a cinematic universe on that. Go do it, Snyder. Right. He gets shoehorned into making this next picture who's, you know, it wasn't even a story he wanted to tell. It was a story that he had to sort of retro engineer into the guidance that the studio gave him. Well, we need a Batman Superman movie, and then we need a Justice League movie. So just go and make it happen.
And of course, you got to have Wonder Woman.
Got to have Wonder Woman. They sure did hit it out of the park with that casting, though, didn't they?
Boy, dude. If I'd have used a Vulcan cannon, I couldn't shoot myself in the foot more succinctly than they did with that. I mean, I used to like Jason Momoa. I thought he was a cool actor. I always kind of liked the roles he picked and played, and I've never really seen him do a role that I hated until now.
When he got Aquaman, didn't people only know him from Game of Thrones at that point, from being Khal Drogo?
Game of Thrones, there was a couple of other things he did. He was in
because I think that was the only thing I knew him from when he got the Aquaman gig.
No, there was a movie he did that did really well on Netflix. It was Badlands, or Into the Badlands, or something like that. And
not familiar, but I believe you.
He played one of the cannibals. He was in a place called Coventry, which is straight out of Robert Heinlein, by the way. But yeah. It's like modern Slab City, but even more slabby.
Speaking of that, I guess the new Aquaman picture seems to be dying quite a death at the box office.
All right. So I got a little bit of something to tail us out on the end of all of this here. And we're going to go back to the robots again. And I do this on purpose. You see, we have 3 different universes here. We have Star Trek, Star Wars, and our actual real universe. And my question to everybody involved is, do we want a Star Wars universe where sentient robots are essentially slaves, or a Star Trek universe where sentient robots are essentially destroyed? That's the question. But first, let's take a look at what they're doing.
So we actually have something that is absolutely incredible. Some student researchers from Google DeepMind and Stanford University have built something amazing. It's called Mobile Aloha, and it's a really incredible robot that will show us what's to come in the near future. So you can see right here that this is the robot that they created. This is some of the demos that they've showcased on their page. And you can see that this robot here is being used to make a 3-course meal. Now, I do want to say that there are many things that will be discussed.
I want to try to get a look
later on in this video, because this is a very, very fascinating project that you definitely want to pay attention to, because it highlights the dexterity and the way in which these mobots move, which is much more
All
accurate.
right. So basically, what you're looking at is a couple of your what are they called? ID10 industrial robots that has been
Yeah, those are the robots you bring closer each time you raise the minimum wage.
right. Exactly. You are exactly correct. These things have like 16 axis controls on 2 different y axes, and just like you see this thing doing, had the capability of an immense level of manual dexterity.
Keep raising the minimum wage, and all your food will be made by robots just like this.
Hey, if I could have a no, I'm not going to say that out loud. Nope. I almost said it out loud, and then they'd come in the night and put it in my head, and nope. Mm-mm.
Than many people had assumed. So this initial demo was posted on Twitter, and it did take the internet by storm for very obvious reasons. One of the main reasons that this took the internet by storm was due to the fact that robots currently haven't really been able to do many tasks, especially at this scale, in terms of the cheapness, where you can actually do a lot of tasks which people think only humans can do. And trust me when I say that a lot of the demos later in the video only.
All right, if this robot can fix me a biscuit, cook me a chicken, and give me a hand job, my wife might be out of job.
I'm still curious about the egg cracking technique.
Right? That was weird.
Because
right?
if it cracks the egg and it drops in a bit of shell, does it know it dropped in a bit of shell and then it grabs the little bit of shell? Because I'm guessing it doesn't, and it doesn't.
So we're thinking that it cooked several meals here and filmed the best one, or used some editing magic to edit together an actual.
Yeah. They probably used all the most favorable footage they could use. Just the ones where the egg cracks were absolutely perfect.
And I'll tell you another thing. I've been through a pretty good bit of this video, and you never get a solid look at the actual build of the robot. All you really get to see are the arms that everybody's familiar with.
And that's the part they want you to be impressed by.
Snow-covered dog poop. I don't know, man. I don't know. It probably wouldn't.
It sounds like a good
get more intense and more amazing. So let's actually take a look at the team and this entire project to see exactly how things work. So this is the team here. We have Zipeng Fu, a Stanford and AI robotics PhD at Stanford Lab, and a student researcher at Google DeepMind. We have Tony Zhao, a PhD student at Stanford and a student researcher at Google DeepMind. And we have Chelsea Finn, DS faculty at Stanford and a research scientist at Google DeepMind. So these are the people behind this. Now, you're going to want to read the abstract, and the abstract is essentially just the introduction for the research paper.
The abstract says, imitation learning from human demonstrations has shown impressive performance in robotics. However, most results focus on tabletop manipulation, lacking the mobility and dexterity necessary for generally useful tasks. In this work, we develop a system for imitating mobile manipulation tasks that are bimanual and require whole body control. We first present Mobile Aloha with a low-cost whole-body teleoperations system for data collection. It augments the Aloha system with a mobile base and a whole-body teleoperation interface. Using data. This is not a robot. This is a dude in a suit in another room. I'm sorry. It augments the Aloha system with a mobile base and a whole-body teleoperation interface. Using data collected with Mobile Aloha, when we then perform supervised behavior cloning and find that co-training with existing static Aloha datasets boosts performance on mobile manipulation tasks. With 50 demonstrations for each task, co-training can increase success rates by up to 90%, allowing Mobile Aloha to autonomously complete complex mobile manipulation tasks such as sauteing and serving a piece of shrimp, opening a 2-door wall cabinet to store heavy cooking pots, calling and entering an elevator, and lightly rinsing a used pan using a kitchen faucet.
I would be unwilling to draw very many far-reaching conclusions unless and until they were willing to show us the entire process unedited from start to finish, and
Right,
all the
where's-
mistakes, all the mistakes the robot made, and let's not pretend there weren't any.
Exactly. I would feel better about it if I could just see the mistakes, because the idea
Yeah.
that this figured it out right out the gate, I don't like it.
Yeah, because they want you to just watch the video and think it did everything flawlessly, when very clearly it did not.
Absolutely. All right, let's see where they're going with it.
In which they document how they managed to do everything. So essentially, it starts out by saying that imitation learning, where robots by watching humans work really well for tasks done on a table, like picking up objects. But this isn't enough for tasks that need moving around and using the whole body. In this project, we made a system called Mobile Aloha, which is like an upgraded version of an older system, Aloha. This new system can move around and is designed to control its whole body, making it more versatile. We use Mobile Aloha to gather data by having it mimic human actions. Then we teach it to perform tasks by itself through a process called supervised behavior cloning. And then we improve its learning by using a method called co-training, which I'll dive into later on in the paper, where it learns from both new and mobile tasks from the older Aloha data, which is more static. And this approach is super effective. By watching and learning from about 50 examples of each task, the robot gets really good at doing complex things like cooking shrimp, opening cabinets, using an elevator, and washing dishes. In fact,
However, it cannot determine the shrimp is good.
Yep.
You have to
Yeah,
do that.
it can do a thing after a certain period of time, but it can't judge with the discernment of a human being whether it's time to flip the shrimp over yet.
Yeah, I do believe it can do the letter arms for YMCA by the Village People. Accurate.
fact, this method, the robot's ability to complete these tasks correctly can go up to 90%. So let's take a look at some of the tasks that they were able to do autonomously, because by far, this is absolutely incredible. So you can see here that this is a demonstration of some of these tasks. Now, what's even crazier is that this is 100% autonomous. Later on in the video, I will tell you guys about teleop mode and how it actually works. But here, you can see that this robot
Okay.
At least they let you see the robot this time.
Hold up. Why has it got sandbags?
I
Or
was
is that
just going to ask the same question.
I bet you that's like dry ice packs. I bet it's keeping a CPU cool.
Could be. Because otherwise, you're right. It looks like sandbags.
I'll go another one. That looks like it was built out of my local Ace. I can find most of those parts downtown, with the exception of the robot arms.
It's just two robot arms riding on a big frame with a battery and a CPU at the bottom and a laptop on the back of it.
Facts.
you can see that this robot is completely going about its day, doing the daily tasks on its own. Now, we did see some other examples of this from other robots, like the Palm E demonstration, in which there was a robot there. But I think this one is far more intriguing because of the way that it's able to do certain tasks, which we really only thought were possible with just hands. And it was able to do many of these tasks, and some of them, like this one with the chairs, that weren't even in the original data set. So by far, this is definitely fascinating stuff, because I also remember seeing a video here where there was actually even some interference with the task, meaning that I think someone was throwing some stuff at the robot and throwing some stuff into it, and it still was able to complete the tasks. So a robot being able to cook shrimp at this level is pretty crazy, if you ask me. So some things that you do need to know about this robot. One of the first things is that the movement, this robot can actually move as fast as a person walking. In the paper, they talk that it can move pretty decently. In addition to that, it's steady, even when handling heavy things like pots. So the stability of this robot is very effective. So it's not going to just be tipped over. And
so what do we think, folks? Are we going to trust one of these to take care of Nan?
I want Rosie.
I want Rosie. Give me Rosie.
Give me Rosie.
Ice packs because its hinges hurt.
Give me Rosie and her plucky attitude. Yeah, oh yeah, I like that one. Ice Pack because his hinges hurt. Beautiful.
I just want the damn attitude, man. I want the accent. That's what I'm after.
Yes. I
Yes,
want
the
witty, plucky interplay.
I don't know, Mr. J. She kind of always sounded like Harley Quinn to me.
Mr. J. Yeah, not too far off.
addition, you can control its arms and the base. It moves on at the same time. And what's crazy about this is that it is self-powered. So it has its own battery and computer. And for the moving part, they chose a mobile base called Tracer, which is used in warehouses. It's fast, can carry heavy loads, and can move over small obstacles and slopes. And it's also cheaper than similar products. And they design.
So, next question. Suppose you have an especially large shrimp or an especially small one.
Large shrimp is a contradiction in terms.
The robot so a person can control it by being connected to it. This way, the person can move the robot around while using its arms, which is definitely helpful for tasks like opening cabinets. And it also does have cameras on its arms and one in front for seeing, and it can feel and record its movements. Now, like I said before, this is essentially version 2 of the original Aloha here, and you can see exactly how accurate this robot is at doing certain things. I mean, it's able to put a RAM stick in a robot, then it's able to get this box cutter knife, able to open it up, and then, do.
Hold on.
There's a guy working a couple of joysticks making it do it. Look at the guy.
This is the first version of it, supposedly.
How impressed am I supposed to be when there's a guy with a couple of joysticks working the thing?
This was a couple of years ago.
Okay, fine.
The modern version apparently walks around and has attitude like Rosie or something. I don't know. Yeah, I just heard it say something I didn't like. It can plug a memory stick into a robot. It's a little too close to self-upgrade, bro. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's well, and isn't that always the answer when they ask us how are we going to prevent the robots from taking over, and the answer is pull the fucking plug out of the goddamn wall
Or throw water on it. I mean, I'm just saying it is a major weakness on a planet that's 74% water.
There is that.
I mean, we still got a fighting chance, bro, until they figure out how to actually deal with that little tidbit.
Some very, very precise cuts to be able to open that package. Then it's able to get that out and apply that so that thing can move. I'm not exactly sure what I'm looking at. I know that those are bike gears. And yeah, so this is very, very impressive stuff because as you can see even here, this is in the teleop mode. And essentially teleop mode, which I'll talk about more in just a second, is where a human essentially controls the robot via another arm. So essentially the human is giving the input and then that is able to do that. Now, the thing about teleop is because it's essentially allowing you to control the robot in a very precise way, and why it's good is because we can then see exactly how good these robots could do if they were given the right data.
So how many people do you think this thing has killed?
Maybe half a dozen.
Definitely a cover-up.
The set, or if we were able to program them in the correct way, which shows us how effective these robots are. So with VR teleop, this is something, autonomous versus VR teleop, or just standard teleop, because there are many different ways that you can do it. You can do it in VR, you can do it in standard. So for example, if you don't know the difference, this right here is essentially VR teleop from Pollen Robotics. And this is essentially where you have someone in VR and they are able to control that robot. So teleoperation, also known as remote operation, just refers to the operation of a system or a machine from a distance. And it's mostly common associated with...
No, I didn't think the robot was going to reach out and grab her boob.
Liar.
Get your minds out of the gutter.
Now we know that there is not a man operating it. Deductive reasoning at its finest.
but it can be applied to a wide range of systems. And the term is often used in research academia or technology context. And of course, in the context of robotics, teleoperation involves a human operator controlling a robot from a distance. And this control can be achieved through various communication channels, such as radio links, satellite connections, or cellular networks. And the distance involved can be as little as across a room and across continents. And it's particularly useful in situations where it's unsafe or impractical for humans to be physically present. For example, teleoperated robots are used in search and rescue operations, nuclear and pharmaceutical industries, maintenance and research sectors where on-site operation would put people at risk or where a clean environment needs to be maintained. And other
Like Amazon warehouses.
Oh yeah, you could run one of those places with robots probably a couple years from now. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, and much of it you can do already.
I mean, have you seen the robot forklift, dude?
Yep.
Crazy. And now it's being forklift certified means virtually nothing.
Oh yeah, forklift driver is not a trade I would be in any hurry to learn right now.
Right?
common applications include space exploration, underwater vehicles, forestry, mining, agriculture, surveillance, rescue, and search.
I saw that.
This one here is, of course, a VR teleop, which is definitely some fascinating stuff. But in the actual paper, we did get some of the physical teleop, which is right there. So you can see he's able to clean the restroom with this robot right here. And some people might be asking, what is the point of him even doing this if he could do it? But like I just stated there are many different applications for this. And of course, you also get to see what the robot is actually capable of. And once you train it autonomously, you can then get that robot to do similar tasks. So
yes, it can clean a toilet.
Yeah, if there's a person standing there telling it exactly what to do.
Exactly. Well, hell, that's a step in the right direction, I think.
Oh yeah,
I might be clean the toilet if I didn't have to actually, thought that's why we had immigrants.
I do think that it does show us how crazy robot dexterity is getting and how effective these robots might be in the future at certain tasks. Now, here was a demonstration of where they had the robot at home. And you can see here, once again, with the teleop system. And remember, they do have two kinds of ways to control the robot. They have the teleop systems and the autonomous systems. You can see here that it is able to really do pretty much any tasks that I can honestly think of. Like a lot of this, stuff that you look and you see and you think, a robot doesn't have hands. It won't be able to do that. It won't be able to, I guess you could say, for example, cook me a 3-course meal, as we did see in the start. It won't be able to control its hands to be able to do that. It won't be fast enough. It won't be quick enough. But of course, there are some things that you should know. Some of these clips, I'm not sure exactly which ones, but it will say in the left-hand corner or the right-hand, side, whichever one it is, but it will say how sped up it is, because sometimes, and I will show you the real-time speeds of these robots in around, 2 minutes once we finish analyzing this clip, because it also is very effective at, just honestly controlling a lot of stuff. And one of the things...
More lemon pledge? No.
I feel like I need to give a shout out to our ancestors from 100 years ago. Because I think if they were here right now, they might say, so you've got a machine that washes your clothes for you, and a machine that cooks your food for you, and a machine that washes your dishes for you, and you still need a robot to take the human labor out of your daily. Really?
We're trying to speed up the rotation of the Earth, so everybody needs to put on a few more pounds.
I do find really interesting was that this robot isn't actually shaped like a human hands. It's shaped like 2 claws, like kind of like a crab, I guess you could say. And it just goes to show how much, how many different ways there are to interact with the environment that are still very effective, that aren't 100% completely human. So that is something that I did also find pretty fascinating, because some people would argue that, human hands are just simply the best. They have the most, dexterity, the grip strength is unmatched. And I guess you could argue that, but you can see that with these kind of robots.
Clearly, you've never wrestled a chimpanzee.
And what a magnificent machine is the human hand that it takes that much to just partially replace it.
You can't. No, this doesn't even do that.
Yeah, not even close.
Because the manipulations this thing does always takes both hands to do in almost every case, because it doesn't have an actual thumb. Doesn't have independent control over pinky and forefinger. So, that trick of cracking the egg is only doable with the other hand coming in to act as the thumb, something that you do without even trying hard.
And even knowing everything we know today, the most complicated machine we know of is the human brain, and we still have very little idea how it works.
No clue. Yeet.
So you are definitely accomplishing quite a lot here. So this is definitely something that is quite fascinating. That and even that right there, being able to zip that up is that's pretty hard stuff. Even for some humans, I would argue that is something that is quite hard. So what we do need to take a look at as well is, of course, the autonomous nature of this product, because I do believe that this project,
let's take a big minute here. We've seen a bit. Let's all right, so that's from the name of the channel is the AI Grid, and they've got a bunch of different types of AI kind of things and stuff over there. And go check them out. It might be an AI run platform. I couldn't tell you.
It's difficult to tell these days.
Yeah, it is really difficult. Who would ever know? So just to let you know, the second episode is only like 3 minutes long, right? We've still got it, but here's what I'm coming at you with. You've seen these Roombas, right?
Oh yeah, I got one at home.
Yeah, you like that thing?
You'd have to ask Lady Curmudgeon.
All right. Well,
I'm gonna reserve comment because she's probably watching.
There's a business that has started making garden versions of that, and I don't mean a lawnmower. I mean something that goes in and de-weeds your garden.
I gotta see.
That has promise. It's called the Tertill, Tertill, and it's actually available on Amazon. But they had a little bit of a legal issue a while back because they had hijacked some code from Roomba.
Really?
But then again, every single robot that rolls on like 3 wheels like that and runs around in a pre-planned thing are all stealing code from Roomba. So it's kind of hard to do anything.
Yeah, seems like.
So your best bet really is to try to find an independent builder that's going to make you a freaking robot, because otherwise you're going to have to go through one of these companies, and just about everything on Amazon's turned into absolute trash, dude.
Find yourself an independent robot guy.
Well, I mean, it is YouTube. It's not as impossible as it sounds.
Oh, Matthew the King with a very unfortunate Roomba story.
Oh boy, oh. You're gonna have to hit it again. I got there first. There you go.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's exactly the kind of horror story that's the first place your mind goes when you think about what the hell could go wrong with this robot house cleaning device.
No, I have long hair and I drink.
I think two of us.
I know for a fact my ass is gonna wake up half eaten by one of those damn things. It's plotting against me. I'm trying to find the whole advanced thing. I wanted to show it as an independent doohickey.
Yeah, those videos would be nice if like you said, if they gave us a version of the view of the entire robot the whole time, and not just the parts they want us to see.
All right, I like that. We're gonna look at that. All right, So we just watched it do some zipper type activity, right? But that was
Yeah.
teleopera. Now, this is supposedly it after having learned to do it. It's starting to sell me a robot, bro. Oh, there it is. Get me a cold beer from the freezer.
Oh, it was even good beer.
Yes. I got $1 that says all but one of those pills was glued into that bottle. What you reckon?
I'm not taking that bet.
Ah.
I think you're right.
So basically, in theory, this thing will be able to do most of your basic home tasks. Now, right now, it's all very, very rudimentary. It's mounted to something that looks like it was built down at your local hardware store, and it's been put together by a handful of immigrants and a random white woman. I don't know how the hell she got there. She's probably gay.
Well, and one can't find oneself thinking that if I need a robot to fold my fucking pair of jeans, do I want to remain alive? I mean, how much quality of life do I have remaining when I can't fold a pair of jeans?
All right, now hear me out. That's not just hear me out. Now, let's say that I am absurdly wealthy and I decide one day I just want to dispense with all of my daily routines that I typically have to do, like, opening my own freaking beer. And I decide to purchase
I just want to lay motionless in bed all day and be serviced by robots.
Hey, if that's all it could do, that might actually be fairly cool for people who are in that position,
Hold my clothes, you fucking cunt.
I'm flashing back to the South Park episode of "Fix me some milk and Peppy. Do my other foot." I don't know, man.
Put a chick in it, make it lame and gay.
That is exactly the way you win and everything. That's what we did with Harmony Unleashed, and it is going to take us beyond the stratosphere. There's no heights we cannot climb because we made a wish.
Harmony Unleashed is going to rule the entire solar system.
If it doesn't already. I mean, it's certainly not behind my entire world.
You just think you've got a shot with Jasmine, and you so totally don't.
I never thought I had a shot with Jasmine. I mean, maybe Queen Bird does.
I do love that picture of Leo in the purple suit. That's the best thing ever. Just about.
It looks like Wandering Hippie. It looks just like the guy I was working with. He's the one who paid for it. What's up, Derpy Duper? We have a participation,
Duper,
folks. Welcome to the chat. It's good to see you, bud. So what do we have planned for?
Are you serious, Matthew? The Roomba resulted in the cops coming to your house? I feel like that would be a great episode of The Mandalorian.
Oh, Lordy. All right. So what are we doing for next week? Tuesday, I have planned, hopefully, to get together with Wandering Hippie again, spend another couple hours on making some motion captures. I've still got another 20 episodes to do if my math is right.
Yeah, there are, and we still don't even know who the maestro is. I can't wait to find out who the fucking maestro is.
You're gonna have to hold off on that, man.
I know it's all the strength I can muster to not go on Chat GPT and tell it to type season 3 so I can find out the resolution to the cliffhanger. But I'm not going to do it because I'm a strong host.
Hold the line.
Holding the line.
hold the line, right? I'm working as
Love
fast.
isn't always on time.
I'm working as fast as I can on this end. I can only go so far when horrible things happen to my rendering.
But hypothetically, all things being equal, who would we want to play the maestro?
I want Al Pacino. And I want him to
Al
do
Pacino, that's not bad.
Pretty Woman, like out of The Smell of a Woman. I want him to do that character. Sin of a Woman. That's it. Sin of a Woman.
I was thinking maybe Sam Jackson.
Yeah, but it's so overdone. Although, we can try to see how many snakes we can get out of this motherfucking airplane. I don't know.
I'm tired of this motherfucking harmony and this motherfucking Unleashed.
Okay. All right. You got my vote, bud. You get that one. Everybody, line up on the left. We're all going to get slapped by the Captain Curmudgeon version of Samuel L. Jackson.
Queenbird just brought up the name of Jack Nicholson, and I actually just watched a Jack Nicholson picture earlier today. I watched A Few Good Men I haven't seen that picture in at least 25 years. But what a great Jack Nicholson performance that is. He's not in the picture all that much, but the parts he is in, he carries.
The Witches of Eastwick, bro.
Oh, Witches of Eastwick. That's good stuff right there.
A lot of people did not like that movie because of the sort of angle everything took in it, because it's not a nice film.
Oh no, it's not supposed to be a nice film.
Yeah.
It's a pleasantly, delightfully bad film. I mean, bad is bad in the sense of not, it's a good film, but it's bad in a good way, if that makes sense.
It's good. It's bad because it makes you feel ways.
Yeah.
Not because it's badly done, badly edited, badly shot. The dialogue in that movie is absolutely immaculate, bro. Like,
I know. I was like,
dialogue.
I'm like 13, 14 years old when that picture comes out. So that's quite a mind fuck for me.
Yeah. And to think we've fallen so far, so terribly far. All right,
I know. I am especially acutely aware of that when we are at the end of 2023, when I just have spent the last year making a concerted point to watch old movies that are good instead of new movies that are shitty. But you get a very acute, fully formed sense of how much better movies were 50, 60, 70 years ago than they are today. And it's not close.
That's true. I mean, you could take some of the old, what? I'm not saying that, dude. I'm not. I mean, thank you, but no, thank you. Hard pass.
I'm not saying that either. That's a hard pass. You're damn right. That's a hard pass.
I will copy paste it and see if I can put it together in my head later, and I might try to sprain my tongue after that, but we'll see. But yeah, just so everybody can see what we're talking about.
I don't think I've ever encountered that word before.
It's a giant mushroom.
Yeah, I'm not trying it. No.
I will accept it as a verified word, just so he can get the participation trophy for the night. That's all I'm after. I'm not trying to say it right now. However, talk us out, bud. It's your turn.
Is it that time already? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us here on the Blast Radius this Sunday evening. We sure do appreciate you being here as always. We hope your 2024 is off to a reasonably delightful and edifying start. And if not, maybe the last 51 weeks will be better than the first week. We will see you next week, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. As we always do, we wouldn't miss it, and you wouldn't either. Until then, see you next time. Do not comply. Get off our lawn.
Episode 2,
Title: Harmony Unleashed. Interior: Jasmine's apartment. Day.
The newly formed band named Harmony Unleashed rehearses in Jasmine's apartment. The eclectic group of musicians collaborates, blending their unique styles into a powerful and harmonious sound.
This is it, guys. Our music is going to be the heartbeat of the city. Cut to exterior city streets. Day.
Harmony Unleashed takes to the streets, performing their music for passers-by. Crowds gather. The energy is contagious.
Who are they? They're amazing. Cut to interior record store. Later.
Leo watches Harmony Unleashed Streets performance through the store window, nodding in approval. Maybe I was onto something with that girl.
Cut to exterior city park. Day.
Jasmine receives a call from the organizers of the citywide music competition.
Congratulations, Harmony Unleashed has been selected to perform in the finals. This is our moment, guys. Let's make it unforgettable. Cut to interior rehearsal studio. Night.
Harmony Unleashed practices tirelessly, perfecting their performance for the upcoming competition.
We need something that sets us apart, something unforgettable.
The band members brainstorm ideas, each contributing a unique perspective.
Cut to exterior city skyline. Competition day.
Harmony Unleashed takes the stage at a citywide music competition. The crowd buzzes with anticipation.
Let's show them what we're made of.
The band launches into a high-energy performance incorporating their diverse musical influences. The audience is captivated by their sound and unity.
Cut to interior judges table. Later.
The judges, including Leo, nod approvingly as Harmony Unleashed finishes their performance. I told you there was something special about them.
Cut to exterior competition venue. Night.
The results are announced, and Harmony Unleashed wins the competition.
We did it! We proved that when different rhythms come together, they create something beautiful.
The crowd cheers, and Harmony Unleashed celebrates their victory under the city lights.
To be continued. Episode 2 highlights the power of unity and diversity as Harmony Unleashed triumphs in the citywide music competition. The series continues to explore Jasmine's journey and the impact of her music on the world around her.
And remember, next week, same Harmony Unleashed channel. We might have more. Good luck and good night.